Good afternoon, everybody. It's just after 3:15. I'm going to talk slowly at the beginning because it takes a minute for everybody to get logged on. And we have quite a few people logging on today to watch this webinar. So today, Heather is going to talk about understanding and leveraging the New Hampshire SAS results. And even though it says 3 through 8, I think she's going to talk about the science, which is 11. So that's what this is. That's what this webinar is about. Heather and I are both going to be here. Heather's the presenter and I will be the moderator. I'll be looking for questions and feeding them to Heather. And if you want to read about us, you'll get this PowerPoint. You can read all about us. We want to thank the DOE. The DOE is sponsoring this webinar. They've sponsored quite a few webinars that are helpful for all teachers about data and teaching and remote teaching and lots. So thank you, DOE. And thank you to all of you teachers who have stuck through this whole year. And we only have a little while, a couple of weeks left, and I think we're going to make it. And, it's your students you're here for, and it's amazing the dedication that all teachers have, New Hampshire teachers, especially, of course. Everybody during this webinar will be muted. And at the end, if you want to ask a question with your voice, we probably will have time to let people do that. So if you want to talk at the end, we'll let you have time and we'll show you how to do that. Please, please, please ask questions. If you put them in the question and answer section instead of the chat section, it's a lot easier for me to monitor the questions. So that would be great, using the question and answer. And when you send it, I'm not going to interrupt Heather immediately, probably. I'll probably wait until there's a good break. So I promise I will get to all of them. And if I say I promise, if we don't, for some reason, I'm sort of anticipating quite a few questions. If we don't get to all of them, we will make a question and answer document and make sure you all get it. If you have information that you'd like everybody to see, or you want to share with everybody, you can put it in the chat section. At the end, we have a survey and we'd love your feedback. It helps us, make these webinars even better. Tomorrow, you'll get an email that will give you the PD certificate access, or it'll give you a link to the video of this webinar and a link to any documents that Heather has that she shares today. And I think that's about it. And on to you, Heather.
All right, so this is where I take over. Hello, everybody. Just my gentle reminder for right now. This is a lot, and we thank you for everything. This is the graphic that kind of always feels like the end of the year, especially for this year. So we appreciate you being here and going through this. I am going to stop my video. It's a little distracting. Again, put any of the questions you have in the Q&A for Anne, and she'll feed those to me. So we're just going to get started. First off, again, we want to thank the DOE. If you are looking to gain any information about your New Hampshire SAS summative assessments, definitely go on to the Office of Assessment. There's a link right on this PowerPoint. Also, if it is something that you have an immediate question for, the Cambium folks are really helpful. So this is the Cambium Help Desk. And then here are Anne and my email addresses. So if you ever have anything specifically about this webinar that you need answers to, that's how you contact us. It's again at the end. So, all right. So our goals for today are to answer the following questions. How are the New Hampshire SAS summative results reported? How do I view the New Hampshire SAS summative results, and what do they mean, and how can I use the results to inform instruction? Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the different views that we have for the data within the system and what the results mean, and then we can talk a little bit about what that might mean for you for your standards. The first thing I do want to have you folks do for me is I'm going to launch a poll right now just to kind of see who we have at this webinar. So if you could take a second and answer this, it'll be good for us to know who we have. So I'll just wait about 15 seconds or so. We're getting quite a few answers already. We have, it looks like mostly teachers here. Great. All right. So it does look like the majority of the folks that are here are teachers. I'm going to end the poll right now. And then we have some couple of specialists, but mostly other admin folks and some principals. So thank you for doing that. It's just kind of good to know. All right. So this is our agenda for today. Just to kind of give you a general overview, the first thing I want to talk about is the reporting structure and how the reports in the system is set up. Then I want to talk about the scoring structure and how what the level 1, 2, 3, 4 means. We're going to view some of the summative data, and then we're going to look at the ways that you can view it or download it from the system. And then we'll have a general wrap up and questions at the end in case you have anything else that I haven't covered yet. So the first part is this reporting structure. So just so that you can understand some general information, the results are available on the portal once the tests are completed. Now, if you are having students test and it's a really busy day of testing, it might take a little bit for them to come in, but it's not weeks and weeks. It should be within a certain relative amount of time. And then for our, so you know, for the reading and writing portions, the ELA results, you have to do both sections of that for any results to be completed and to show up in the reporting portal. Also, we are finding that they are pulling some random students for scoring for the writing portion. So there might be a couple of students here or there that may not show up even though they've finished. They might take a little bit longer. We also have been finding quite a few students that aren't showing up for their writing results have not submitted or hit complete at the end. So just make sure that your students are there. If you have any troubles with this, just contact Anne or I, and we can pull it up within Tide to show you whether they've completed their assessments, if that ends up being an issue for you. So just so that you can know, anybody set up as a teacher or TE in Tide, you will need rosters set up to be able to view your students' test results. If your school has not set up rosters, you will not be able to see any student results. So if you go into the portal and you don't see anything, then it is 100% because you don't have a roster set up for you. Anybody set up as a school or test coordinator, a school test coordinator or a district test coordinator, you can see results without rosters. You have the district level or the school level that you can see regardless of any rosters being set up. And then just so we know, you can know, the DOE, obviously they're going to be looking at the data, but they're not necessarily looking at it as they usually do for accountability. Just some general information about rosters, because this ends up being one of the questions that we get quite a bit. I wanted to put some information in here. Students can be a part of multiple rosters. You can have as many rosters as you would like. Usually teachers have access to their grade, but then you can also give them access to multiple grades or just their classroom. If you only have your roster or classroom set up, you will not be able to see other students that are outside of your classroom or your roster. So a lot of times they set it up, you get to see the whole grade level, and then they set up another roster so that you can see your specific class if you want to. Again, you need the rosters for teachers to be able to see the results. And then there were this is right from the Cambium information about roster recommendations, really about how you set up the rosters, the naming conventions and things like that. So just some general information there. So as we're looking at the actual reporting structure, the way that it is set up in the system is it's set up, there's subjects like math, ELA, and science, and then there's reporting categories underneath there and clusters and standards. So I'm just going to explain each one of these.
Can I interrupt before you do? I just have
Sure.
some roster questions. People have some roster questions. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. So one said, I teach 5 classes of math and I can only see 1. Roster.
One roster for the 5 classes that you teach. So that must be the only roster that's created. Correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need some more rosters created for you,
Mhm.
or just to put more students in that roster.
Yes.
Okay. We had a teacher who had a problem with her roster, so it was deleted. If we roster her kids now, will she be able to see them, or did they have to do it before?
Nope. You do not have to set up rosters before students test. You can set them up at any time.
Yep. And have they always pulled student writing? I don't remember this happening before. Do you know why they are doing it this year?
I think that they're, what I've found is the reason that they're pulling it, I probably shouldn't have used the word random, but they are pulling students who are scoring that could go, because it's automatically scored. There are some that are being flagged to be hand scored because they're sort of on the cusp of whether they would be a specific level, how many points they're getting. So any of those that they're seeing are really close to what may be a different number of points, they're pulling and hand scoring those.
I do think they've done it every year, but there have been a few more questions, or maybe not more questions, but there have been questions about the computer scoring, as there always are questions, and maybe they're just checking this year a little more closely.
Great.
Can you make the PowerPoint a little bit bigger?
I cannot. This
And
is
delete.
full screen, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you can do a command or a control plus to make or change your view, and you can make it look bigger on your end.
Yeah, if you say view full screen, you might be able to see it a little bit bigger. Ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So for the reporting structure for the subjects, again, like I said, we have ELA, math, and science. So ELA is grades 3 through 8, math 3 through 8, and science grades 5, 8, and 11. When it comes to what they are looking at for each one of the subjects, they are looking directly at the Common Core standards for math, ELA, and then the next generation science standards. For reporting categories, the way that this works is the math reporting categories, it depends on your grade level. They do change from grade to grade. You can see here, if we look at grades 3 through 5, we have operations and algebraic thinking. And then we have numbers, base 10, and fractions. So we used to call them domains instead of reporting categories. But what happens is that there's sometimes, like with the numbers, base 10, and fractions, those are 2 domains in one reporting category. Same with the measurement, data, and geometry. Those are 2 domains of math that are in one reporting category within the reporting portal. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, that those are the reporting categories for math. For ELA, even though you have more domains in your ELA standards, what is shown on the portal are the reading informational text, reading literature, and writing standards. And with science, you have your earth and space science, life science, and physical science. This particular information is going to be one of the supplemental documents that you will have within the folder that you get access to tomorrow. So you don't have to commit this to memory. Just so that you can understand a little bit about reporting categories. Here's 2 examples of, we have operations and algebraic thinking, which is an OA standard. And then we have the numbers and operations base 10, which is an MBT. So those are 2 different domains. And so those are reporting categories that are right there. As you're looking at the standards, this is what we're looking at for reporting categories. So that's math. For ELA, same thing. Our reporting categories, we have reading standards for literature and then reading standards for informational. So these are just 2 examples of the reporting categories for ELA. And then for science, if you're familiar with the Next Generation Science Standard website, this is the way that it looks for 5th grade. And the reporting categories are here. So they have physical science, life science, and earth science. And then there's different sort of areas underneath each one of those. So those are the reporting categories for science. As we're looking at the next ones, I'm going to show you clusters and standards sort of at the same time. I'm going to go right through that same sort of routine again. So for clusters, when you're looking at the Common Core, you will see we're looking at operations and algebraic thinking right now, which is a reporting category. And then underneath that, you have clusters that go underneath there. So write and interpret numerical expressions and analyze patterns and relationships. Those are your clusters. And then underneath your clusters, there are specific standards. So this is a question that we get a lot because people, when you're looking at the Common Core and understanding how to look at that particular document, this is the way that it's designed. Same thing for ELA. So our clusters, our key ideas and details, our craft and structure. So that's under reading standards for literature. And then within that, there are different standards for each grade level that you're able to see. For science, the way that it works, the clusters, which they call disciplinary core ideas, are here, right? So those are all physical science. So those are the clusters underneath there. And for just so that you can understand for science the way it is in the reporting portal, they do not go down past the cluster level. They do not go down to the standard level from there. So just to the cluster level for science. My screen's kind of popping up a little bit, and definitely interrupt me if you want me to stop before we go on to the next section. Okay.
Sorry, I'm muted talking away here. If you want to answer a couple right now.
Sure.
The Common Core for math in 7th grade primarily revolves around ratios. Why was there more geometry on the math test? The assessment will not be valid or reliable measure due to that.
I have not taught 7th grade science, but every time we go through
Math.
Or 7th grade math, every time we go through this though, we have looked at the summative assessments and they are directly, from what we understand, aligned to the Common Core. But that might be a question for Cambium or somebody like that. But I have not seen the summative assessments necessarily veer from the Common Core. That has always been my understanding.
They do follow the Common Core, but they don't follow Achieve the Core, which is aligned with a pathway to algebra. And so many schools are using the Achieve the Core that sometimes you're focusing on the Achieve the Core major standards. And then we get this summative test and it's about all the Common Core, not just the Achieve the Core standards.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then here's another one. And please write back if you have more questions about that. How come the writing and tide reporting doesn't allow us to break down by student? We can only see their reading categories broken down. And I believe this is something you're going to see show in a minute.
Yeah, I'll show you in just a little bit. I agree with that. And I'll show you how to see the writing scores down to student level. So I'm going to move on here and then just interrupt if you need, Anne.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go through the same thing for the way the scoring works. So for subject scoring, we have 4 levels that we're looking at, 1, 2, 3, and 4. These colors are, I'm sure, very familiar to you. I'm going to kind of go through this quickly, but know that you can refer to this PowerPoint, or this will be a supplemental document as well for what each one of these means. So for level 1, we're below proficient. Level 2, approaching proficient. Level 3, proficient in applying. And then level 4 is highly proficient in applying. And it just has some verbiage here. So again, as we're looking at a specific subject score, you have 4 levels that are reporting. So there's also cut scores for each grade level and for each subject. I just want to explain to you a little bit about what the cut scores are, their achievement level cut scores. So this scaled score right here for my students over here this is how the scores are figured out, is they're based on the scaled score. So when you're looking at a cut score, that means the scaled score is within a specific range, and that's how they get a specific level. So again, here are those cut scores for you. It's going to be in a document, so you don't have to obviously commit that to memory. It's also, if you're back here, if you click on this little eye here on any of these, it will give you the information on what the cut scores are too. So if you're in the portal and you don't want to look at a supplemental document, you can look right here. So for reporting categories, the way that this is scored, again, here's our reporting categories that we were talking about earlier. This has 3 levels of reporting: low, at or approaching, or on or above. This is one of the biggest questions that we get, because as you start looking at specific reporting categories, you're only seeing the 3 colors and you're wondering where all your blue kids went. And the kids that were scoring level 4, there are not 4 levels. So it's not that your students aren't performing well on the reporting categories, it's just that there's 3 levels. So each reporting category has specific performance level descriptors. So I just put a few examples in here. Basically, there's some math, we have some ELA, and we have some science. So anytime you want to see this, again, it's that little eye that you're going to click on. And all this means is it doesn't get specific into exactly the standards, but basically you look at a reporting category, all the standards and everything that kids are being asked in that particular reporting category, and are they low, at or approaching, or on or above? So as we're looking here, this is a science example. I have here, again, we're looking at specific reporting categories. So over here, the total you'll see is the 4 levels, because this is for science overall. And then each reporting category here, you have your 3 levels. Right. So there aren't really any cut scores or anything like that that are available for the reporting categories. If we had them, we would give them to you. But kids are also getting all different questions, so it gets a little bit tricky as well with that. Sometimes they're getting a different number of questions. They get the same number of questions overall. So that's what we have for there. I wanted to just clarify here too, this is something that we get, it's a huge question that folks have, is that they're looking at a student who overall scores a level 1, let's say for ELA here I have as the example. So overall they're a level 1, but for reading literature and reading informational text, they're level 2. So how could they be a level 1? Well, you can see here, this is just a graphic representation of, look at how large the level 2 is, and compared to the, for reading literature, compared to the level 1 and 3. You can see how it sort of matches up with the 4 levels above. So this is how that happens. We've had a few folks calling us already to say, I don't understand, they're a level 1 overall, but they're level 2 in reading literature or reading informational, or the opposite. They're a level 4 overall, but why are they only scoring a level 2 for reading literature or reading informational text? And this is why. So in case you're ever wondering why it doesn't seem to line up, you can see that level 2 is a pretty wide range. Moving on here to the clusters or standards and the levels. So here we are, when we're looking at the scoring structure for these are a little bit different. You don't necessarily have a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, or a level 4 for clusters. The way that it is you can see all of these symbols here. So we have under reading literary text, we have craft and structure. So that's one of the clusters. And then in addition, we also have integration of knowledge and ideas, and there's more, but for this screen, that's what we have here. So those are the clusters that we're looking at. And then, so you know that you are able to see the clusters at the grade level or roster level. As soon as you go to the student level, you will not see the clusters anymore. You'll only see this particular area here, which is the average score. So again, you want to, if you want this view to be able to see this, it's either at the school level or at the roster level. I believe it might even be at the district level, but not many people have that level of inside the system. So now underneath craft and structure, I have 3 standards. And then underneath integration of knowledge and ideas, I have 2 standards. So I want to talk a little bit about what these are. Again, I'm looking at the roster level here or the specific grade level, and these are only shown at this level. So if I look here, if you click on those little eyes, this is what shows up. It will show you the exact standard. And what happens is if you look in the Common Core and you look under reading literary text, if you look at standard 4, this is what it is. So it directly correlates with that Common Core document. I also want to just kind of drill in a little bit to this so that you can understand what all these symbols mean. They're great once you really start to understand what the visual is, but it's a little overwhelming. So I'm going to go through and I just want to show the proficient column. So proficient, if you have a check, it's above the proficiency standard. The circle that's halfway is at or near the proficiency standard. The X is below, and the star is insufficient information. If we then look at that weak or strong, this is what that means. So if there's a plus, that means it's an area of strength. The equal sign is performance is similar to performance on the test as a whole. Negative is an area of weakness, or the minus sign, and then insufficient again. Just so that you can understand this, this is the weak or strong is based on your specific data, your kids. So it's compared to themselves. It is not compared to the state. It is not compared to the district or to the school or anything like that. That particular group that you're looking at right there, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? So just want to make sure that you understand that. A clarification for science, just to make sure that you're understanding. Again, this is our reporting category. This is our cluster. There are no standard level. There's no standard level data underneath that. It just goes right down to the cluster level. All right. I'll pause there for just a second. I can see that there are some questions. So, yep.
First, there's a couple questions about not seeing the data that they expect to see. And instead of reading them all, I'll just give the answer that it's either your rosters are not set up the way you want them to be. So you need someone to make sure all your students are in your rosters, or it's that the student never submitted the test and therefore it isn't done. And if we can specifically look at your case after, if you want to stay on, we can look at it. And then here's another question. The cluster level broken down by standard would be very helpful to have for each student individually. Would that ever be available?
I don't believe so, only because they don't get the same questions.
It is, if your district has Performance Plus, it is available on Performance Plus, but it's not available here.
Right.
But you're right, it would be very helpful.
It definitely would be helpful. And what is even more helpful is within the Performance Plus system, they also show you how many questions they get, because that's what you don't see on the reporting portal here, is for this particular standard, how many questions did this student get? We don't have that information at this particular level.
Okay, another question, ready?
Mm-hmm.
When we did the interim in the fall, there was also language and speaking and listening for reporting categories. Why isn't that part of the summative?
I don't know the direct answer to that.
I think I could, in reality, it is part of their score. And if you have, again, if you have P+, you will be able to see the breakdown of those. But listening skills scores are going to be rolled up into your, I think, into your reporting category, into your the two reporting categories that are shown. But they in the ORS, or the reporting system from Cambium, they don't show that breakdown. But you can see it in Performance Plus.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope, no more. Sorry.
Sure. Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about viewing the data. So this is how you view the data. You go right into the New Hampshire portal, cambiumass.com. It's where you went to go administer the assessments and everything. You're going to go into test administration. And then here's the 9-box page. The way that you're going to view it is you're going to go into reporting. You're going to log in. And then you're going to see this is a home screen right here. You'll be able to see all the summative results. Now, just to give you a heads up, I have statewide access, so I can see a lot of different districts. I choose a specific district. You may not see very much information at all because that is what your access is within the system. So you won't necessarily see all of these grade levels here. You won't necessarily see any of that. You will just see the results that you have access to within the portal. So what I'm showing you now is more of a school coordinator view, but know that it's the same sort of process for you to see your students. So the first thing it's going to show you is your subject scores. So here's all my subjects here. And you can see overall, this is for all of those grade levels together, and in general, how these this is a specific district is doing. So when you want to view specific results, you're going to click right on that, what you want to view. So right now we're going to view summative math. And again, I have access to all of these particular grade levels. You will see the grade level or levels that you have access to. And then this is all the general information about each grade level and the summatives. So for this whole grade, here's a performance distribution for overall score. This is how many students took the assessment. Here's the average score. We have here as well the test reason, the test grade, the group of students, and then obviously the assessment name here and when it was taken. So any of these areas you can sort. These little up and down arrows, if it's more than one page or it continues to go a little bit further down and you want to be able to sort it and see something specific at the top, you can sort by those. So as we go through here, there's also this area on the left-hand side for filters. So you can filter by a specific school. So if you're a district coordinator, you can just view one school at a time if you would like. There's also, for those of you, I've been working with a lot of folks on the modular assessments, and you want to see what your results were on the modular assessments and they're not showing on that home screen. You can use this filter area so that you can see either the interims or modulars as well. So just know that that's where you might find that. As you want to go and view a specific assessment and those scores, you click right on the one that you want to view, and then it opens up the page for that. Underneath here, you will see, again, you have a total or overall score. This is by school. So if I was a district coordinator, these would be all of my schools that took the grade 5 summative assessment and their totals, and then what the district score was. Again, those overall scores, that performance distribution is based on scaled score. And then you have each reporting category over on the right-hand side that you're able to take a look at. So if I click on one of those there, I can look right there, operations and algebraic thinking. I know this is pretty small. So I tried to make it as big as I could make it, but now I have for each school, and I've opened up the reporting category of operations and algebraic thinking. So that's the reporting category. There are the clusters underneath that. And then underneath that are the standards. And again, just to remind you, that's the proficiency. Again, if I forgot, I can click on that little information icon. And then the weak or strong, that's what those mean there. Again, this is at the school level. If I want to look at specific scores, I can go right into a specific school. And now I have my schools. This is for 5th grade and the roster that they are associated with. So now I'm to the roster level. Same thing. If you don't have rosters set up in TIDE and you are a school coordinator or district coordinator, it will show students not on any roster will be a section here. Or if you have some students that are rostered and some that aren't, there'll be an area here that says students not on any roster. You have all that same information again, so you can look at different rosters and how they're scoring. Same thing, you can use any of these plus symbols and be able to drill down and see what a specific reporting category is. I'm going to close the total here. And I'm going to open up measurement data and geometry. I'm sorry that these are all slides. I cannot go live in the system because I don't have anywhere that wouldn't be showing you somebody's data. So just bear with me with all the slides here. And then here we are by roster. This is the measurement data and geometry reporting category. As we look here, you can see how they did overall for each roster. And then here's the reminder of the proficiency or weak or strong. You will get used to using these left and right arrows. So if I click the arrow, now I can see the rest of measurement data and geometry. It's a little tricky. It's really wide, so you have to use these arrows quite a bit to be able to maneuver back and forth. If I have a specific roster and I want to look at these two categories here, just so that you can understand, for modeling and problem solving and use of mathematical reasoning, they do not have cluster scores for them or standard scores. They're just an overall score. So those look a little bit different. I just wanted to show you that they don't have all the pluses and minuses and things like that. They are the modeling and problem solving and use of mathematical reasoning. Those particular reporting categories are pulled from all of the different domains and it is the specific questions that have to do with modeling or problem solving or use of mathematical reasoning within those domains. So they don't have a specific cluster or specific, it could be standard specific, but there's a lot of different standards that have these particular reporting categories within them. And I think that that's just basically what I was saying there. Now, if we go into a specific roster, now we're getting to our student level information. And I just wanted to point out, as soon as you get to student level, you have your student names here, you have your total, and then again, we're looking, this is math, this reported quantile measure. It's pretty interesting. It is like a Lexile level for math, and there's a quantile Lexile hub that the New Hampshire DOE is paying for the state of New Hampshire, any teacher who wants to be on that. There's some really great information on there. Again, it's called the Lexile Quantile Hub. So you can see any of this. Once you open up and you're at the student level, you open those up, this is what you get. You get the overall how that student scored on a reporting category. You don't get to the cluster or standard level. And yep, there's that. So now just a little bit, I was showing you math. I just want to show you a couple of differences with the ELA scores. Here's what the ELA down to the school level looks like. Again, their ELA scores are shown after they complete both reading and writing. If I look at the reading informational text and reading literary text, this is what you will see. Same type of thing that we saw for math. It's set up by cluster and standard as long as I'm at the school or roster level. And then just a reminder of the symbols. And then if you look at the writing dimensions, this looks a little bit different. So here's what writing looks like. And this is at the roster level. It would look the same at the school level. And so I just wanted to show you a little bit about what the arrows mean. So the green arrow pointing up is the number of students who scored the maximum amount of points for a specific category. So the example would be here for conventions for informational or explanatory writing. 91% for this particular roster of kids scored the highest number of points. Same sort of vein here. This is the down facing red. This is the lowest number of points that you can score and the percentage of students who scored that. So the up arrow will not appear if students do not score the highest point values. So you'll see here on this evidence and elaboration, there are 0% of students who scored a 4. So there will be no upward green arrow because nobody scored the maximum number of points. Just want to make sure you understand that. So this is where I wanted to show you. So if you're this view of the writing data, again, school or roster level, it is not able to be viewed at the student level. So that was one of the questions that we had. I can't see it. So if I click on my roster and then I click on Florence Griffith Joyner as my student, I do not then see writing. All I see are the reading informational and reading literary and the total. However, I'll show you when you're downloading reports, you can download it and it will show how many points they scored in each particular area. So bear with me and I'll get to that. Here we go. We're going to start looking at different data views. Anything before I scoot there, Anne?
There aren't any questions that have been asked, but I wonder if there are any out there in your brains that you would like to enter in.
Okay.
And I will stop, Heather. Thanks.
Okay, so here we go. This first report that I'm going to show you is an individual student report. This is the report that shows individual student results for either ELA, math, or science. This is a report that's available. It's either in a simple form, which is a 1-page, or a detailed report, which is 3 pages. The simple report it shows the student overall score, performance on each reporting category, and that's it. The detailed one shows the same information, that student score and the performance on each reporting category, but it also shows longitudinal data. So how they have done over time. This is a report a lot of times that people send to parents. And there's also an option here to print supplemental materials to help with understanding the scores. So I'll show you what that looks like. And the report can be batch printed by school level, grade level, roster level, or individually. So this little button here, this download student results, is on every screen that we go to within the system. It's up on the upper right. I am going to show you how to print something like this from the very first screen that you see on the reporting portal, but know that it can be, if you are already down to your school level or roster level, you can click right on that download student results and it will choose where you are in the system and print all the information either from your roster level or student level. So here we are. We're on the main reporting screen. So this is where I'm talking here, this download student results. So this is the first thing you need to do is you are looking here and figure out the test reason. So right now we want to choose spring summative 2021. Then what it will do is once I click next, it will bring you to the next area here, and you're able to choose a specific subject. So I'm going to choose math. Also, that little arrow, I'm not showing it here, that little arrow will open up mathematics. And if you have more than one grade level that you have access to, you can choose a specific grade level if you would like. And you click next. Then it brings you to the school level. Again, this is somebody who might have district access. And here you would be able to choose a specific school, right? And then over here on the right, if you would, again, if the arrow that you used for the school name here, you could choose specific rosters, or you could get down to the students and all of that. So know that you can continue to drill further down if you would like. And then over here, we're looking at the individual student report. We're looking at a single PDF. We are choosing simple here. So this is going to be the one pager. And I have do not include the materials. And I'm going to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to click generate. You'll think that nothing has happened because you don't see anything. It brings you right back to this particular screen. And so now what you want to do is click on your inbox. And this is where it shows you all of the things that you have asked for reports. So you're just going to click on the one report that you want to open. What that does is it downloads it onto your computer, and then you're able to open it. So here is what the individual student report looks like. I have cut off all the student information, but the student information would be up at the top here. So I want to just go through, I'm going to make it a little bigger so that you can see. So this is the top half. This is the score. It gives you all the information about the different levels. It shows you where that student scored within that level 3. And then it gives you a little bit of information about their quantile level. So it will tell you a little bit about what that means. And then here is the bottom of this report. And this is the reporting category over here. And this is where the student performed for that particular reporting category. So it kind of gives you the little range of where things are. So this is below standard and above standard, right? And then so you can kind of see where the student was just above, decently above, a little bit above, a little below, right in the middle. And then it will tell you here, this is your little key for what the performance level is for this particular student. And then it will tell you sort of your next steps for that student when it comes to this particular reporting category. So that's the simple. The detailed, if I want the detailed report, I'm running it the same way. Basically, I'm just choosing the school name. So I already went to the test reasons, the assessment, selecting students or school name. And then over here, instead, I'm going to choose detailed. And I did say include the supplemental materials, and I'm going to generate it. Again, it seems like nothing's happened. Go to your inbox, click that, downloads it. And here is what this report looks like. So to go into each page here, this is page 1, again, is giving you the general information about the student score and where they scored. This is the longitudinal information. So it's going to have 2019. It's obviously going to skip 2020 because we didn't take it then, and show you 2021 so you can see where they are within a specific level. And then it shows you here for 2019 what level they were for this particular, this is ELA, and where they were this year for ELA. And then this is the same. I wanted to show you the ELA because this is also where you can see how they did on the reporting categories. And then this is where you get the information about how they scored on the writing. Now, obviously, this is by student. I will also show how you get writing results that isn't necessarily one page per student. It will have all your students listed. But this does show the information about how they scored on the rating. The supplemental materials that come with this, whether you do a simple or detailed report, this is the supplemental information that goes so that people can understand what each portion of the document means. All right. Yep.
We have one question, and it's about past years. So
Mhm.
you may pass this back. In the past, student scores were adjusted once the testing window closed. Should we wait to print out and send reports?
I have never heard of them being adjusted.
I think it was the first year we did SAS, which was 4 years ago. The scores, once all the scores were in, they were adjusted. But since then, that I don't think we've done that. So I think you can print them, but there are some people from the DOE on, and maybe they could just send me a chat and I can update that answer if needed.
All right. Okay. So now what I want to show you is this, the button that's the download student results again, but I want to show you a little bit different portion of that. So if we're going to download the student results, we're talking about now being able to save a student file to be able to Excel or things like that. So Excel, CSV, or TXT. It is, again, district, school, roster, or student level, ELA, math, or science. The downloading the results includes overall scores and reporting category scores. And this is where you can see the ELA results, including individual writing scores. So here we are. We're on this page again. This is, again, the download student results. You go through the same, sort of, this is what I'm choosing. Now I'm going to choose ELA. Here's the school name. So again, if you're already drilled into your school or your roster, you don't have to go through this. You can just click on that download student results. But this is what I'm choosing this time. Instead of individual student report, I'm going to choose student data file. I'm going to choose, I prefer Excel, but you can, download it in any format that you would like. And then the output, it says, create a data file for each test, or it will allow you to combine into a single data file. Normally, you are looking at a specific grade levels test. Maybe you're looking at the summative ELA for grade 5 or 4 or 7. And so the data file for each test is what you'll want. It's the same. It's usually just one test that we're looking for anyway. So I've chosen data file for each, and then I'm going to choose generate. What this does, again, you'll think you have nothing, go to your inbox, click on what you want, and then it downloads it to your computer. And I've kind of formatted this a little bit. There's a lot of information that comes out on this. So I've deleted some of the columns so that you can kind of see a little bit about what you're going to have. I've also cut off all the student names. So you'll have student names, SSID, and all of that. But here you get your summative ELA score. You get the Lexile level, the overall performance level. Then you get, for reading informational text, how they did, for literary text, how they did. And then now for information and explanatory, here's the scores for that. The NA means that they got the other one, right? So they've got opinion over here. But this is how you can see how each student scored on this particular assessment. This, just so you know, this prompt copy match means they did not get a score because their answer is directly typed or copied basically from the reading. So they did not put it in their own words. All right. Printing results. This is similar to, you're going to probably download it and put it in Excel or something of that sort. So again, totally the same process of downloading the results. You can download it from the district, school, roster, or student level. You can print the results. You can save it as a PDF or download it to an Excel or CSV. It can be used for ELA, math, or science. And again, it's going to include overall scores and reporting category scores. And the ELA results will include the individual writing scores. So here's where I am with this. Any screen that you are on right now, I am at the student level. So you can see here, I was on my dashboard. I went to performance on tests. I went to the district performance, and now I'm at the school level and my student level. I've clicked right here on that performance by student tab. So all my students are listed. And then within here, you'll click print. Once you click print, it will come up to this page here. And then you will see this is what this looks like. I have to say, I love color, and I love the way that you see where the red, the yellow, the green, and the blue is, but it does not print very well at all. So what ends up happening is I tend to change this and I choose Save to Excel. And then what will happen here is I'm just going to click Confirm. And once I do that, it opens up this page automatically for me. I'm going to click on what I want to open. It downloads it to my computer. And so this is what it looks like when you hit print. I did not change anything on this. This is the way that it came up as I printed it. It doesn't have the pretty color or anything like that, but what it does is it gives you a little bit of information. Like these would be my students. I have my scaled score. This is a science one. So this is Earth and Space Science here. And then this is life science and physical science. This is the total over here. Sorry, my cursor was not in the right spot. So here's your totals. So again, if I had chosen for an ELA test, my writing scores would be here as well. All right. Any questions on that? I'm going to show you the longitudinal report.
Nope, keep going.
Perfect. Okay, longitudinal report. This is a little bit new. So this is a comparative report. It shows the summative overall scores for a group of students from the 2019 summatives and the 2021 summatives. It's available at the district level or the school level. And this report is available for both ELA and math. It's not available for science only because their science is 5th, 8th, and 11th. So it's kind of hard to do 2 years ago because they didn't necessarily take it 2 years ago. This report is available for grades 5 and above. Obviously, the current grade 3 students would not have taken it in 2019, nor would the grade 4 students. So it is only available, only show up in grade 5 and above. So here's where we are. You have our page that's here. You click on whatever you want to view. This is, I'm just going to look at ELA. And now I have to choose again, grade 5 or above. So I'm going to choose grade 5 here. As soon as I choose that in my school, like all my schools will be listed or just my school name, I see this build longitudinal report. So this particular report looks like this. I have it by the school level. So it shows you how the kids scored in 2019 compared to how they scored in 2021. This is showing you that they made progress here. And then here's the summative scores and what percentage of students scored each level in 2019, and then the percentage of students who scored that level in 2021. You can change this over here. If I look at this area and I choose score, then you will see it in this way. Again, I like the color. That's my preference, but from there, you can also print it. So you can print the report and then you're able to either print it, save as a PDF. I probably at that point wouldn't save it as a CSV. So this is what it looks like when you print it. Okay.
We have a question.
All right.
Can you see what the students actually wrote in the writing and answered for the other questions. On the interim reports, you could.
The interim reports you could, you cannot for the summative. The interim, that particular assessment takes all the questions from the modular assessments. So they are, the modulars are something that you can kind of use throughout the year. There's math, ELA, there's writing, there's science for grades 5, 8, and 11. So you were able to see that. For the summative, they do not release the items, they do not release the questions, so they do not show what the student wrote.
Okay. And please keep asking questions if you have any. And I want to go back to the question about the questions not matching the Common Core. I put 2 documents out in the chat, and one is, they're both 3 through 8, even though one's called 3 through 5. And it's the number of possible points for each cluster on the test. And so that's how you determine major, supporting, and additional for the way the SAS test is built.
Great.
Just FYI, and if you have questions on those, you can write to us or call us.
Great. I'm going to move forward. We are already a minute over, but please continue to ask questions. But I just want to wrap up here just a little bit. So webinars that we have this month, if you go onto our website and choose data coaching, these are the ones we have coming up. This is happening again on June 8th. We also have iPlatform and the New Hampshire DOE data and reports coming up on June 22nd. They've made a lot of changes, some really great changes there. So if you are familiar with iPlatform or not really, it's got an extremely valuable amount of data out there. So I really recommend going to that webinar. And then we also have Understand Your SAT data, which is a repeat of what we had last week. If you want to see any webinars that we've done in the past on our website, right underneath where you can register for those webinars, there's recorded webinars. Also on our YouTube channel, all the webinars that we do, we record. So this particular webinar will be up on our YouTube page within a few days. This is just not just because it's one of the major things I've been working on this year. This is a New Hampshire SAS modular PD program. This is a program that we worked with schools this year on how to use the modular assessments to really dive into the standards and to understand the depth of knowledge that students need to have to be able to meet the requirements for the standards. It's been a really successful program. I just wanted to put it out there. We are hoping to continue it next year. So if you have any interest in that, you can definitely contact myself or Anne. Here we are. Again, the link to the Department of Education and Cambium. And I am going to just escape out of here because I realized it did not. Oh, I wanted to put this in the chat, because we are always looking for feedback. So I want to be able to put if you could take that survey, I think it's 3 questions. It would be really super helpful for us for future webinars to know what you might need. So Anne, I will ask you, are there any other questions before we sign off here?
I have one right here. As a school counselor, what is the best way I can utilize this information for high school?
Oh, I mean, for high school, you're going to have the 11th grade science. That's really the information that you're going to have. There are, the summative assessments for ELA and math stop at 8th grade. I guess what you could do is, if you're looking at your freshman year or your 9th grade teachers, they could know sort of where kids are coming in and where their strengths might be or their weaknesses might be for 8th grade data. But for the most part, the only data that you're going to be able to get from this is from the summative assessment specifically is from the science one. We have had a lot of high schools recently ask about the modular assessments because you are able to practice specific skills, not necessarily at a 9th, 10th, 11th grade level for math or for ELA, but you could look at the modulars for 8th grade or the science modulars for 8th or 5th or what have you, so that students can be practicing with those, but that's pretty much how you would use that.
Yep, and he actually added to that question a second later and said for incoming students. So for your incoming 9th grade students, you can look at and see how they did, where their strengths and weaknesses are in math and ELA and science.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want some more help on that, please tell me that you do, and I can stay on. Heather may not be able to stay on, but I can stay on. And you will receive a certificate of attendance tomorrow, and a lot of people are asking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Survey has dates that are not accurate. Great.
Oh, right.
Well, if you just pick the latest date in there and we'll know that that's what it's for. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I will definitely let our folks know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for catching that. I appreciate it.
Oh, are there any more questions? I don't really see any more.
Okay.
So you see our emails right there. Please call or in the phone number, call or send us an email. And I guess we're done. Nobody else has any more questions. I don't see any raised hands either. If you want us to unmute you, we could unmute you if you raise your hand. Oh, I see one. Hold on. Kathleen, do you have a question?
Yes, sorry. If I go into the link to see how my students did on their test, I should ask, when can I go into, if my students took their 6th grade math test on Tuesday, when will results be into the system?
They should be in by now.
Have you been in and looked and they're not there?
Yeah, I tried to go to reporting and nothing comes up, so I'm not sure if I was doing something wrong.
I think it probably has to do with the fact that you might not have rosters set up. So you have to have a roster set up with your students in it to be able to see any data.
Somebody with school-wide access has to set that up for you.
So the person who was in charge of it, I need to email them and ask them to give me the roster list?
Or you might want to tell them which students are yours. And
okay, she knows, but yeah.
Oh yeah, and then she just needs to set up a roster for you. And if she doesn't know how, she can give us a call.
Okay, I'll ask her then. Thank you for your help on that.
Yep. Anyone else have a question? Doesn't look like it, Heather. It looks like we're done. Everybody's done. Fried.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for coming, everybody. I know this time of year is really tough. Please reach out if you have any specific questions, and we'll answer them as best we can.